Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It will not come as a surprise that I wish to start my talk with a warm thank you to the organizers of this important workshop. I wish to thank him for allowing a patient representative such a prominent place and time in a meeting of top-level scientists. I take that as another strong signal from the regulators that they acknowledge the vital role of the patient voice in a healthcare discussion, but also in decisions which patients and caregivers have started to play more and better than ever. I once provoked my audience in the high-level pharmaceutical forum with a purely theoretical but nevertheless correct observation that without patients, all of us would have to look for another job. And believe me, I would love to be in that position, but that is another story. I would like to show what you can expect to see and hear today in the next 28 minutes. I hope you will forgive me that I first intend to talk about ourselves, the European umbrella organization of national MS societies in 34 European countries. I will show you where we are, what we do, and why we feel that you can expect a meaningful contribution to these 2 days from us. I then will use EMA as an excellent example of a win-win situation through a growing patient involvement in its work, followed by a first dive into our main subject, Tysabri and PML through patient glasses. Then we'll look at the complexity and variations of case assessments by a number of MS and PML patients. And then we look at some, unfortunately, so far unconfirmed statistics on PML being puzzled together by Mr. Declan Walsh, caregiver and husband of Dr. Natalie Walsh, the first Irish MS patient contracting PML. Thank you, Declan. And finally, you'll see a summary and some key messages on the last 3 slides. Now, let's go in medias res. EMSP is the umbrella organization of currently 38 national MS societies in 34 European countries and represents more than 500,000 people with MS and more than 1.5 million people daily affected by MS, such as family and other caregivers. Contrary to other disease areas, people with multiple sclerosis in Europe are represented by only one European MS umbrella organization. The EMSP was founded by 21 national MS societies in 1989. Its main purpose was and is until today to complement on European level the work of its national member organizations. It does it through the advocacy work towards European institutions, through collecting and disseminating relevant information, and through European projects within the EU. If you look here at the map of Europe, then you can see everything what is green here is EMSP membership. So there are not many countries left which are not yet participating as a member in our work. As you can see here in this illustration in the British Medical Journal, but already in 1999, patients are becoming more and more active. They become involved consumers of healthcare. And this is a trend which might not be welcome by every doctor. Patient support groups are more common and more active even in Central and Eastern Europe, and the internet is transforming the amount of direct information that can be accessed directly by patients. Why is it important for patients and caregivers to play a role in the healthcare debate in civil society? Because there is knowledge and expertise through their own personal and collective experience. And this knowledge and expertise is vital for the discussion, and it's important to involve the patients as the end users of the drugs in question. Because there is drive, legitimacy, and authority of a representative and independent patients' movement as both a watchdog and a critical friend. And because there is mutual value in partnerships with the medical community, in political dialogue, and with corporate world to progress health outcomes and patients' quality of life. Here, even if there is only an indirect connection to our subject today, I wish to mention some important documents as outcome of EMSP's work as a voice of people with MS in Europe. Firstly, the European Code of Good Practice in MS. The European Code was requested by the European Parliament's resolution on multiple sclerosis in 2003. And it covers 4 key areas: equal rights and access to treatment and services in the management of MS, a shared agenda in MS research, employment and job retention, and participation and empowerment of people with MS. In addition, there are consensus papers on European level on rehabilitation, on symptomatic treatment, on the use of DMDs, on palliative care, and in preparation on pediatric MS. And thirdly, there is a very useful document which is coming up newly again and every second year, that is the MS barometer. And this is a benchmarking tool comparing the available resources for patients with MS and medical experts, giving a ranking of the countries in Europe, and truly an eye-opener in discussions with health ministers and other relevant decision makers. Within the European Medicines Agency, there are a number of areas where patients are involved in the discussion already. The EMA Working Party with focus on pharmacovigilance and on information, for example, in the package leaflet and the EPA summaries. They are involved in scientific advisory group meetings, mainly on the benefit risk questions, but also on other issues. The Working Party with patients and consumer organizations exists already for quite a while, and I regard that as a real win-win situation for both patients and the people working in the European Medicines Agency, that we learn from each other and help to make the outcome of our relevant works more meaningful. Now, as one testimony, I would like to read a letter. I know it is a bit unusual to read out in such a high-level audience, but I feel that the letter of Alan O'Connor, Irish person with multiple sclerosis from August 2005, is really relevant for the discussion here, because there are clearly expressed thoughts of him on the benefit and the risk and the importance of the role of him as a patient in the decision-making process. So he wrote in 2005, "Dear Mr. Lundgren, I'm a person with multiple sclerosis, a board member and past chairman of the Multiple Sclerosis Society of Ireland, honorary treasurer of the MS platform and a board member of the MSIF. In relation to EMA's role in the licensing or otherwise of any and all future licensing of Tysabri, sorry, there's a missing word, or otherwise of any and all future treatments relating to multiple sclerosis, I would like to make the following personal comments. I'm more interested in the quality of my life, in the length of my life, and all decisions that I make in relation to medical and non-medical interventions are made with this in mind. I want to add life to my years, not necessarily years to my life. I find that a very clear statement. He then goes on, a decision to proceed with any medical treatment for any person, not just a person with MS, should be made by the persons themselves after having a consultation with the doctor where the following should be discussed in detail. An explanation of the treatment and procedure involved, the alternative choices, if any, available to the person, including do nothing, the likely benefits supported by the statistical information relating to outcome, successful, neutral, negative, or even fatal. The side effects, short-term and long-term, that may result from a physical, mental, and everyday living point of view. I accept that the national and European licensing authorities have an important role to play in the development of any and all new MS treatments. However, I too would like to have a say, and I would not be too happy if any of these bodies denied me the opportunity of accessing any reasonably safe product or procedure that could have a beneficial effect on my quality of life. Yours faithfully, Alan O'Connor, person with multiple sclerosis. Now, from this early handling of Tysabri assessment, what are the messages to be learned? Safety concerns of medical experts and regulators are not necessarily always identical with scaling of benefit-risk ratio by patients. You might know that in this scientific advisory group meetings, there was a considerable move of the opinion of the more conservative experts towards a more liberal handling of Tysabri after the patients have spoken. MS patients accept a much higher risk than medical experts think if the benefit is clearly described and likely or sure to happen, if the risk information provides at least an educated guess on worst-case scenario and likeliness for this to happen, and the patient and consumer organizations can help in providing or disseminating the information as information multiplier if they are informed in a layman's language. And full transparency and proactive information policy are a must in this context. I mentioned earlier that patients are getting more and more involved, and their involvement, for example, in EMA, but also in other think tanks and in other decision-making bodies, are contributing to the following development. From the accepting to the informed, to the involved, and finally to the one in control. And this is a development which has been already described in several years ago, in '99, but I believe it is still true today, and the role of the patient organizations and of the patients themselves is moving in this direction. I would like to make you familiar with a little random piece of public opinion on the question who has the best perspective to assess whether the risks of the newer DMTs are worth taking. Professor Giovannoni from London, he is running a blog, and in this blog he made a survey months ago asking exactly this question. And as you can see here, the big majority of his followers, of his blog followers, had the opinion that people with MS have the best perspective to assess whether the risks of a newer DMT is worth taking, followed by the neurologists, and then followed by the regulators. Now, that might look disappointing to those who are working in the regulators' bodies, but I strongly believe that only the combination of the three makes sense, and only the combination of the wisdom and experience of the three stakeholders groups can lead to truly balanced and meaningful decisions. However, I also strongly believe that the patient's voice should have the final say when it comes to the decision whether to take that risk or not. Why is it? Another patient testimony I would like to share with you, because Lauren Parrott was in the situation in which I would never like to be myself, and I hope that in a foreseeable future, this situation of making a decision whether you take the risk of dying or you continue to have a good quality of life, that this situation is dissolved in the foreseeable future. However, please listen, I hope it works with the sound, to what she has to say.
There's a study happening right now that is testing patients to see if they are positive or negative to antibodies of the JC virus. And if you're negative, that's wonderful. However, I was told that you could be negative the day that you take it, and then the next time you take the test, you might be positive. I don't understand why, but that's what I was told. My neurologist participated in this study, and I received my results in November. And I found out that I tested positive. I was told that I should stop taking Tysabri. After much consideration, and after hours and hours and hours, I'm not kidding, of tears and prayers, I came up with my decision. And I've decided to stay on Tysabri. I thought that was the best decision for me. However, now I'm going to be taking it with specific conditions, and I wanted to tell you why I decided to continue taking Tysabri, because my chances have increased of getting PML. But I've been on Tysabri for over 3 years. I've had 40 infusions, and I have never felt better.
Right. After this quite encouraging, but also not easy statement from a patient side, I would like to show you another aspect of the involvement of patients in the questions we are dealing with here in these 2 days. When I prepared my speech, I came across the Giovanni Trust, a private PML website, in which I found the following statement. It is a terrible indictment of both the worldwide regulators' bodies and pharmaceutical industry that I had to set up and maintain what I believe is the only information portal and forum for those families affected by Tysabri related to PML, while dealing on a day-to-day basis the harsh reality that your loved one has an incurable disease. I have seen at first hand through the website the fear and confusion that exists when a diagnosis occurred. I have been contacted by many people through the European Union, North America, and Australia, all asking the same questions that frankly I'm not qualified to answer. So what you see here is that patients are longing for information, and their caregivers as well, longing for information, more positive outlook, hopefully, on how PML can be handled in the future. I also wanted to address the variations of a patient's opinion on the benefit-risk ratio. If I'm not mistaken, there are 145 patients with PML known worldwide at the moment. Does that mean that if you could ask all of them, that there are 145 different opinions which need to be taken into consideration? Well, I don't believe so. I think that there is the question yes or no, and each of the patients together with his doctor should make the decision. But we can surely assume that the majority will go for quality of life and accepts then the risk, because they don't have much other choices. On the EMSP's wish list, and that brings me almost to the end of my speech, we have the European MS register. Actually, it's not on the wish list anymore. It is on the agenda now, because 2 weeks ago, the European Commission signed for that project, the European MS register of data being collected on national level, and brought together on European level. I believe that could be one of the tools in the foreseeable future which might help to support the research to be done in the field of PML and the JC virus. We wish to have more comparative studies and more comparative information, which helps the patients to make their crucial decisions. We like to see more concrete figures of clinical trial results rather than percentage. And we like to see a common approach developed of all pharma industry, of course for us specifically, MS is relevant, plus the regulators, on how to measure and describe benefit and risk in lay language, involving much more patient-reported outcome. As a summary, many MS patients demand monoclonal antibodies as powerful agents for treating aggressive MS, even if safety profiles of these new agents are uncertain and stringent risk management plans are required. MS patients want to be regarded as equal partner within optimized shared decision-making between patients and neurologists. Objectivity and full transparency by the medical expert are basic requirements for this process. Risk acceptability increases with disease severity. MS patients, being often severely debilitated, want to add life to their years, not necessarily years to their life. Safety concerns of medical experts and regulators are not necessarily identical with the scaling of the benefit-risk ratio by patients. Caregivers of MS patients with PML have a specifically strong need for information and reconfirmation on latest research developments to be provided by either the medical expert, the regulatory body, or somebody else. Caregivers of MS patients with PML wish to get the feeling that they are not alone. Could an internet-based networking be supported by the EMA or by the FDA or both or somebody else? I close with these questions and thank you very, very much for your patience and your attention.